and welcome to Create with Shannon, brought to you on behalf of the Fuquay-Varina Art Center. Grab your materials because today we're going to be using stamps and paper to create this adorable card project. So join me in the studio and let's get started. All right, to get started, you're going to need to have a stamp set, some ink, some acrylic blocks if you're using cling stamps or clear stamps, and some paper. So our first step is going to be to cut our paper down to size. And ultimately, I chose a piece of this goldenrod cardstock, and I simply cut the regular piece of cardstock in half vertically. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to fold it over on itself, just like this. All right, so I'm also going to use the edge of my pen here to just crispen up that fold line so that it looks really nice, very sharp, and ultimately it doesn't give any creasing. So that's really pretty. All right, next I took some blue paper. This is blue cardstock, and I cut this to 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And that's going to offset just a little bit here on our yellow panel. And then I cut a white piece of cardstock, just regular cardstock, at 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. And this is going to be just 1/8 of an inch difference all the way around so that it really makes that white pop. And the last thing that I'm going to cut is my designer paper. Now I chose this pretty piece. I think that I got it from one of the craft stores as one of the single pieces, and I've just used it for a lot of projects. And honestly, guys, I eyeballed this to be a panel that's going to be offset just a little bit around all the edges. It ended up being 3 7/8 by 2.5 inches, but ultimately what I did was I laid the paper down and then I took a pencil and just marked where I would like it to be and cut there. And the last thing is I also cut another white panel, and this is going to be the panel on the inside of the card so that we can stamp a little accent and write our sentiment or our letter in the card. This one I cut at 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. All right, so once we've got everything cut out, we're going to start assemblage. All right, so first things first, I'm going to set my goldenrod off to the side for a moment. I'm going to use my blue piece, and I need to take the white piece, and I'm going to glue it to that. And I'm going to use my tape runner. This is a Tombow Mono permanent adhesive, and I love it because it's no mess, no fuss. And I can just run it right here along the sides and down the middle. And then I always use my hand to just guide where I want this to go on the left-hand side. And then I gently drop it down and adhere it. And that looks great. Then I'm going to take my accent paper, my printed paper, and I'm going to adhere that as well. So take your pattern paper, and you can use glue, you can use tape, anything that you want, that you prefer to work with as far as adhesives go, is going to work just great. All right, so look at that. We've just gotten steps 1 through 3 already completed. Now we're going to go and move to our stamping. So I've chosen a set called Dandelion Wishes, and this is by a company called Stampin' Up. And Stampin' Up is unfortunately not available in stores. If you go to a craft store, you can find lots of different stamps. But Stampin' Up, you do have to purchase through a demonstrator. And if you're interested in finding a demonstrator, you can go to stampinup.com, or I'll be more than happy to introduce you to my demonstrator, who is definitely an enabler, but she's wonderful. Now, what happens if you don't have this Stampin' Up Dandelion Wishes stamp set? That's okay. You can use any type of stamp for this project. They have dandelions everywhere throughout the craft stores in many different types, or you can choose something else that reaches out to you. Maybe it's birds or something of that nature. So anything will work on this project, whatever brings you joy. I'm going to go ahead, and this is a cling stamp, so it's a rubber stamp that has a sticky back, and this is going to stick right here to my acrylic block. And it's a little bit bigger than the block, so I'm going to do my best to get as much coverage here, and then I'm just going to remember to press down a little bit. And then I'm going to take my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to stamp this. Press that ink right into your stamp. Make sure that you get a lot of good coverage. Now on these cling stamps, sometimes you get a little overage. See that where there's a little bit of ink there? So I use this, I got in the car shop at my local retailer, and it's called the Absorber, and it's fantastic because it's a little chamois. It doesn't have any lint to it, so I can use it to clean my stamps, but that just took off that little bit of extra ink, and it's really great for being able to clean stamps after you're done using them. Now, obviously this started out purple, and I've used it to clean lots and lots of stamps, as you can tell, but ultimately these last forever, and you just keep them nice and moist. And I keep mine in a little Ziploc baggie, and I pull it out every time I'm stamping. All right, so I'm going to line this up here in a place that makes me feel happy, and then I'm simply going to kiss it to the paper and give it a nice, good, firm press. Make sure I get over here where I hang off a little bit, and pull it up. Ah, look at that. It looks so cute. All right. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to my sentiment, and I chose one that is sending well wishes your way, and I've already put this onto my acrylic block. It's a little bit smaller and fits it a little bit better than I'm going to use for this. And again, I'm simply going to add some ink to it. Looks very good. And then I'm going to line that up where I'd like it on my paper. And then just press it to, give it a nice kiss, firmly, and then lift up. Excellent. All right, now because we're stamping between two pieces of paper, it is likely that you're going to have a couple of little bald spots where you stamped. So just come in. This is my Sharpie pen. It's great. It's got a teeny tiny little nub to it. So I'm just going to go back in, and I'm going to insert and increase the length of those dandelion lines, and then I'm going to come down here to where it says sending well wishes, and I'm going to fill in here as well so that it looks seamless. And it matches up with that so well. It looks better already. So this one says sending well wishes. You could use this as a get well card. You could use this as a thinking of you card. I'm sending it as a birthday card to someone that I love. Now I am going to be sending this in the mail, so I'm going to talk to you about the next step, which is taking this panel that we've stamped and using adhesive to connect it to the card base. So in our example card, we have used a product called Dimensionals to pop that up. And like you can see, there's a little bit of a raise of that blue panel off of the yellow panel. And I used a little product called Dimensionals. And these are little foam adhesive pieces that you can get that will lift up your project off of the project so that it gives it a little bit of dimension. And if you are going to be handing this to someone or including it in a gift, then these are great little ways to be able to pop it up and to give some interest to it. If you're going to be mailing this, however, I know sometimes if you've got dimensional items or they pop up a little bit too much, sometimes they can get stuck in the machines that the post office uses. and it can tear up your cards, or they might even charge you extra postage for sending something that has dimension to it. So if you're going to be mailing this to someone, I do recommend that maybe you just take your glue or your tape and put it directly onto the yellow and don't pop it up. So we're almost done. The last thing that we're going to do to give this professional polish is to go ahead and put our white panel on the inside so that we can have something that gives the card some structure, but also so that we have the ability to write a pretty note in it. So again, I cut this at 3 3/4 inches. And I am going to take, there's one little stamp that came with this set, and it looks like the dandelion seeds floating in the air. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put it on my acrylic block and stamp that or ink it up. And then I'm just going to kiss it to the bottom of the paper, just like this. And so it's got a nice little accent when you open up the card, and it's a little unexpected, and it's just sweet. So now I'm going to take my adhesive, my tape roller. I'm going to tape this to the inside of my card, again, to give it structure and that little extra polish. Gently press that in, and voila, we're done. How quick was that? Easy, simple, but so impressive. Just one of my favorite projects is to create something that says, I was thinking of you, I sat down and I did this for you, and I had a good time thinking of you while we put it together, and now it's done. So I hope that you enjoyed this project. I hope that you will join me again for another time that we can create, and I would love to see your projects. So please tag me, tag the Fuquay-Varina Art Center. Let's see what you've been creating. And until the next time, have a great afternoon, have a great rest of your day, and keep creating. Bye, everybody.